Hello, everyone. Welcome to Briar Haus Writes. I'm Becky Parker, and today it is my honor to be able to get to have a conversation with poet, spoken word artist, dog lover, artist, trainer, everything that you can imagine. Kelly has done it and really good at it. Everyone, welcome Kelly Hanwright.
Thank you, Becky.
Kelly, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, you said most of it. I I'm primarily a poet. I married a dog trainer, but I've always loved animals and particularly dogs. So that's how I got into the training thing. And then I became an English language arts teacher.
How did you get to be into education?
Well, I was, I knew in the beginning when I started to go back to college that I wanted an English degree. And I didn't know exactly why. It was just like I was driven to, in the Little Women, which was my favorite story for a long time, probably still is. Joe says she's trying to explain to Lori why she can't just stop writing. And she says, or maybe she says it to the reader, but it's like, why couldn't he understand that writing was like breathing to me?
Mm.
And so I just had always wanted to pursue that. So that was the first thing I did was go when I did decide to go back to college, which had a lot to do with my husband and his support. And ironically, tomorrow is the 1 year anniversary of his passing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it just hit me like the significance of us talking about this. But I just went back to do what I had always dreamed of doing, and that was I got my BA degree in English. And then as I was doing that, I wasn't 100% sure what I exactly wanted to do with that or what I could do with that. And I had a professor who was hands down the best teacher I've ever had. And I don't even remember the turning point. But anyway, she was so good at putting us toward a direction. Like, she was so good at fostering, but not really. She didn't ask you what you wanted to do because I feel like that kind of just, you freeze. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, but she instead kind of displayed the different options and made them seem exciting. And it's not like I never thought I would do anything with it, but I started really, because of her, really, I started thinking, what if I could teach like this? Because being a teacher had never crossed my mind before. But the way she taught her classes was one thing I really liked about her. She would tell us, I'm a facilitator
Mhm.
of your learning, but you're the one creating the meaning. And she really taught that way. We always had roundtable discussions. The students would go research different parts of the lesson. Like we were kind of talking about discovery learning just a few minutes ago before we turned the recording on and Montessori. Um, so she did that with a whole college class, which I thought was, yeah, really amazing.
Oh,
So, I started trying to figure out because I'm the type that I'm always careful. And then to get into teaching, I would take it seriously because I feel like you're molding lives. Like,
mhm.
so I don't want to do that wrong. um, so I started out subbing, and a friend of mine had a job as a sub in this county that I ended up in, that I'm in now, and wow, is it wonderful. And it's just a rural county, but the way they have their school set up, and having had another experience at another school and having kind of been keeping up with teacher news around the nation the last few years, there are so many resources and so many what do you call that? Support personnel. You're teaching the student how to have good life skills with the issues that they have. And as I started to teach, I realized, hey, this is so great because I have my own issues. I have ADHD that I was never diagnosed with. I was a grown adult in therapy before I figured that out. And it took a long time for me to figure that. I didn't figure that out till I became a teacher and I had to sit still and focus.
Oh no.
And then it was like, why can't I do this? And I do have complex PTSD, but it wasn't all that. And after a while, I'm like going, I think I have ADHD. And so I talked to my therapist, and she sent me to some website to take a test, and voila. Um,
But I've heard quite a few teachers that have said that when they began teaching, they began developing or feeling like that they did have ADHD, and a lot of them all met the markers for ADHD, which made it a little bit complex for them, but also helped them to relate to their students more.
oh, yeah,
How,
exactly.
how did being an educator, how is that impacting you in your writing?
I would say, like, I'm in the very baby stages of, for instance, writing about current events, which is something I've never done, which might sound odd, but because I became an English teacher in particular, because language is so empowering.
Right.
If you can understand and have good command of language, you have got life in hand. Like, you can control your destiny, you can advocate for yourself and your family, you can make an impact where you want to. There's just so many things. And so, to get back to your question, I'm trying to teach my students. Like, I teach a creative writing class right now, and we have been focused on, and I try to, be the facilitator, not give too many suggestions. No, so I've been trying to guide the students in a self-directed way, is all I'm basically saying, to make an impact where they want to make an impact. And they'll do the rest. Like that, but I'm trying to teach them that writers have this voice that they can use to help people understand other perspectives, to foster empathy, to foster understand. So, and it's gone well. I see
And
them.
you currently have a book called The Locust Years that
I
has, so tell us about what precipitated writing that book.
um I grew up with my mother was fully delusional, paranoid, schizophrenic, untreated my whole life.
Hmm.
And her main delusion was that my dad was possessed and demons were chasing us. Like, no kidding. So, I don't know, when you grow up, whatever you grow up with, that's your reality. You don't know anything else. And I really didn't know anything else because I was, as ironic as it sounds, sheltered. Like, I wasn't let to mix with a bunch of other kids. I was kept in private school. Sometimes I was homeschooled, which sometimes meant that I was just home. But yeah, I have so many gaps in my education, it's not funny. But
But that was your ordinary. That
yeah,
was your life.
so when I got grown, I went to a therapist for something else, and it was a relative, it was my Aunt Jennifer, my mom's brother's wife, who is an LCSW, incidentally. And um, while I was in there, I learned that about my mom. So it was quite a shock. And actually, it got me back into writing because writing is the only way I've ever really been able to process things. And like we were saying, the ADHD, and then I have the complex PTSD, I have depression. So it's like you get layers of brain fog. And I don't really do this anymore, but I used to have real problems with dissociation, like derealism and depersonalization.
Mhm.
Um, so I guess that's why writing helped so much because I could lay it all out there and see it. And I'm also more of a hands-on person, so the writing, it took me a long time to figure out was my tactile piece.
So
But
when you wrote this, what do you hope for people to be able to glean from it? And because it sounds like that, it really impacted you to be able to write this, maybe therapeutic, maybe very challenging in some spots to be able to be that vulnerable, to reveal yourself to the world like that.
oh
What
yeah.
what do you hope that your readers will take away from your writing?
Well, I'm learning. At first, I wrote it because, again, I just kind of felt compelled. I put it together, I'll say. I wrote it to heal. I edited it and put it together and published it um, because I just felt compelled to. But as I prayed through that process and worked on it and everything, and then after it got published, I'm realizing at first it was kind of like, well, this is my testimony because, like, I could have died. I could have. And we also lived in one of the worst neighborhoods in Houston growing up in the 90s, which was the worst time for the worst neighborhood in Houston. It was Fifth Ward, Houston. But I realized, you know, there's a lot of people, and my mom was diagnosed, or she was diagnosed with a nervous breakdown and a hormonal imbalance. So, kind of almost your classic yellow wallpaper scenario or something with the crazy woman in the attic or the crazy woman locked away or something. But not a formal diagnosis with any kind of medicine or treatment plan that you could follow. And I have had so many people tell me that they grew up that way, that they had a parent who was either had schizophrenia, bipolar, some other type of personality disorder or mental illness, and would just do all these things and what their life was like. And it's really helped me connect with people that have had those experiences. And I don't know, somehow we heal through that. And after I published the book was when my flashbacks really started to go away.
Oh,
But they were killer while I was working on
I
it
bet. I
to some
bet they
degree.
were.
But yeah, after I published and began to meet other people, I don't know, there's just something healing about that.
Well, Kelly, would you read some of your work for us?
I would. So I chose a poem out of here, and I can do more than one out of here, but I chose the one I wrote for my students. I took a workshop. Was looking for an editor, and who I ended up finding was Trisha Faye Hefner. And I just want to say that if you're a woman who is putting together a work and you're looking for an editor, I would get in touch with her because she was incredible, and she just she gave me a discount. She believed in my work. She taught me all kinds of things about um, writing. I have some unconventional styles, and she didn't try to fix me, which is why I fired my other editor.
Oh no.
He just showed me how to do it well. So anyway, um, highly recommend. But I joined her group that she had going on, which is the Poetry Salon, and I wrote most of the second half of the book. It's in two sections, the devouring and the restoring. The title is based on Joel 2:25, which says, "And I will restore unto you the years that the locusts have devoured." And that's what I felt in the beginning had happened to my life, but the second half, of course, is the positive. So this is Prophetic Dreamer for my students. I make young souls glow. I am the one who lights the match and goes throughout the room, dropping embers into tender hearts, starting lifelong fires, one after the other after the other. I diffuse vision around me like fairy dust, for others to breathe into themselves. When they exhale, it is carried on the breeze to another life, and another, and another. I am the one who whispers into the ears of all passers-by, "You matter. You are valuable. There's never been anyone like you. Never, ever." I am the one who lifts her face to heaven, takes in the energy of the one who holds its boundless reserve so she can repeat this day again and again and again. I'll share a brand new one because I've been struggling to write over the past year, probably more than a year, but this is one of those that's kind of been inspired by, and it's rough, I'll tell you. It's not completed, but I still want to share it.
We'd love to see it.
Hands, an action after Jewel. My hands, they are my own. Not the hands of politicians to cover up the damage they wreak on everything they touch. My hands, they are my own. Not the hands of greed from corporations who snatch up supply from their shelves specifically to create shortages because enough will never be enough for them. My hands, they are my own. Not the hands of hysterical masses who allow themselves to be carried away on bandwagons and told where to get off instead of seeking direction that would allow them to drive their own destinations. You see, my hands are really our hands, and we sing together. My hands are small, I know, but they're not yours, they are my own. Our hands belong to us and to each other, and we will take care of each other. And there are more of us than there are of you. And we are never broken. We are never broken.
Kelly, do you um, have a way that people can find you? Do you have a website?
Oh, I meant to send you that. Yes, it's kellyhanwright.com.
Kelly, tell us about if you could spend the night or the day with any of your favorite writers, people that have influenced you, who would you pick and what would you do?
Oh my.
Because you said something very interesting. You said that writing was like breathing. So I know you've been a reader your whole life. So who would you invite to be in your life for a night or the day?
One of the top writers that I know, and we're also good friends, is John Manoni. I have learned more from him than just about anything, maybe including college. It was through college that I met him, but um, he's just so wise and also non-conventional, little crazy.
It gives you
uh
a new way of looking at things.
yeah, and it's got to be partly the science and physics thing,
Could
but
be.
he's also the only person that's ever been able to explain that stuff to me. Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, John Manoni is a noted physicist. He's also a tremendous writer and won multiple awards for his writing. But he does lead an ekphrastic group with the Chattanooga Writers Guild, and that meets every Thursday night at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time if anyone would like to go. Kelly is also a musician, and I wanted to ask you about that part because we didn't cover that. You know, you sang some in your writing, but how did you become a musician and what all do you play? What type
Well,
of music are you drawn to?
I it's not that exciting. I love 90s country and I love like 60s and 70s folk rock because
Mhm.
of the whole, like, I was born in the wrong era. I'm really a hippie. So, um I love, and I've even taught on that topic and used songs from the 60s, like Peter, Paul, and Mary songs, to tie together like the way that the young people of the day made a difference through the music they were choosing to write and share.
Right,
Because music is such a widespread vehicle. And of course, all the young people always love music. So it's not the older, dried out, set in their ways people that you're going to make a difference through. It's always the young people.
right.
And I've taught lessons on that. But the way I've been singing my whole life. Everything revolves around my daddy. And as you can see, he's playing the harmonica. That's
I love that.
one of the last pictures I have of him. Um, but I became a musician because when my dad passed away, he had been trying to learn to play the guitar.
Mhm.
And he gave me the guitar that he was trying to learn to play. So I learned to play it. And I've just never looked back. But my husband was a singer, Frank, he was a singer, and we sang. We did a lot of um, shows at nursing homes, which was very rewarding. I highly recommend that to anybody. If you've got some sort of talent, go entertain the people in nursing homes. They don't get that much company and they're grateful for every bit that they get and they need that interaction.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I don't write that many songs, but I have been writing a few lately.
Well, I tell you what, I hope that you write a lot more so that we can start seeing more of your work like that. Because I think music is such a way to heal,
I had a
especially.
song to share. I can only be who I am. I can't be nobody else. I can only be who I am. I ain't gonna be nobody else. I don't know what you want from me. Seems we're wasting time, you see. I ain't gonna change. It took a long time becoming me. What you get is what you see, and you knew that. You knew that. And I can only be who I am. I ain't gonna be nobody else. 'Cause I've worked hard to be who I am. And I ain't gonna be nobody else. It's a little snippet.
I love it. And it's really catchy too.
I don't know where that came from. I was in the bathroom putting on makeup and getting ready for school at about 5:30 in the morning and
There
wrote
it
it
came. There it
all
came.
in one piece.
Everybody, check out Kelly. She is amazing. And Kelly, thank you so much. I wish you the very best in all you do.
Thank you so much for having me.